Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief and yield my time since I'm kind of wasting my time here. I'll be honest with you. Secretary Mayorkas, do you take full responsibility for all decisions of action or inaction made at your agency? Do you personally take full responsibility
for
all of the decisions made at your agency?
I am the Secretary of the Department.
So it means yes.
I bear ultimate responsibility for the decisions made.
Yes, okay. So you mentioned earlier that in your definition you have operational control of the border. Can you define what you mean by that?
What we mean, because under the Secure Fence Act, it means that not a single individual would cross the border. Under that definition, no administration has had operational control.
So what number do you have? 5 million, 10, if less than 5 or 10, or less than a couple 100,000 get away or more? I mean, what is your definition?
What we do, Congresswoman, is we
you have a number?
What we do is we look at the resources that we have available to us and ask ourselves, are we deploying those resources to achieve the most effective results for the American people? That is what we do, and we are hopeful, working with you and other members of this committee, to increase the funding for the Department of Homeland Security.
So fine, we hear funding, but I've been at the border and you've been at the border too. How would you grade your job on a scale of 0 to 10? How would you grade yourself?
Congresswoman, I am immensely proud to work.
How would you grade yourself?
Congresswoman, I am immensely proud to work with the men and women of the Department of Homeland
Security. No, yourself, your job, not all of the women. I'm sure there are a lot of great men and women in your department. How would you rate your job as a head of your agency?
It is the honor of my life.
From 0 to 10, so you cannot grade it. How would grade your preparedness to this committee meeting on scale from 0 to 10? We ask information, you all these promises, letter. I'm not wasting my time. I'm sorry, I don't want to use bad word, what you can do with all these letters, because we keep giving money and sending letter and you tell us BS back. So how would you rate yourself, your preparedness to this committee?
It is the honor of my lifetime to work with the men and
women.
From
scale 0 to 10, how would you say how prepared you came to this hearing?
I will repeat what I said.
So you're not answering any questions. You are not answering any Republican question. Is it something that your intent to not respond to any questions of Republicans? You came with that intent.
That is incorrect, Congresswoman.
Well, you're not answering any questions.
It is.
I mean, every time I hear you say, we will, we shall, yeah, I don't know. You don't know any numbers. You don't even know how many people you actually, you prosecuted, how many people you deported. You're nothing. How can you say you know how your department is run? As executive, you don't know these numbers?
Congresswoman, let me share with you.
Well, you haven't shared anything useful here.
Let me share
I'm sorry to tell you, I'll yield to Chairman Jordan because I'm not going to be wasting your time with this charade and circus. You do not have an intent to do that, and it is a serious national security issue. This border and cartels are stronger. A lot of money NGOs are making who knows what, and probably a lot of corruption over there. And we have a national security crisis, and you sitting here and saying, looking at us with very smiley face, it's unacceptable. But I yield to Chairman Jordan.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Secretary, of the 140 illegal aliens you've encountered who are on the terrorist watch list, again, this is Mr. Ice's question earlier in the day. What is the status of those 140 individuals?
First of all, let me allow the record to reflect that I'm not smiling, nor have I smiled.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, will you repeat your question, please?
The 140 individuals who've been encountered on the border who are on the terrorist watch list, what's the status of those individuals?
I believe that question already has been posed, and I mentioned to the chairman that we will provide that data to you.
Have any of them been released, I guess is another way of framing that.
Mr. Chairman, let me say this. Individuals who pose a threat to public safety or national security are detained pending their removal.
Well, that's not what the Inspector General said. He said CBP released a migrant on the terrorist watch list and ICE faced information sharing challenges planning and conducting the arrest. This is from Mr. Kufari, the Inspector General, DHS. You disagree with Mr. Kufari?
We respectfully do.
You do? Okay. I would yield my time to the gentleman from Louisiana.
I've only got 25 seconds. I'll just say I don't have time for a question because you'll be elusive, but I just, for the record, since we're stating things for the record, I've been in Congress.
The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for 5 minutes.
May I reserve my right
of course,
if needed?
Of course.
Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to the operational control issue that came up first by the ranking member when Congressman Nadler brought it up. And you've addressed it, and I know that Mr. Roy worked through that again, but it's so important, and I think it's such a source of frustration because every time you turn on a TV, there is this imagery that continues, which is people coming across the border. And whether I was in McAllen or in San Diego sector or wherever I was, when you talk to Border Patrol or you talk to your employees, Homeland Security, none of them say, yeah, everything is going well and there is certainly an operational control in place. So even by the definition, which you brought up a couple times, the Secure Fence Act, I don't think anybody asked you again today directly, do you believe that we have operational control at the border right now?
Under the statutory definition.
Right, under the statutory definition, do we have it?
Under the statutory definition, Congressman, not a single individual can cross the border if one has operational control. Last year, approximately 1.7 million people crossed the border. We provide that information to Congress on a monthly basis. Under that definition, no administration has had operational control. What we do is ensure that the resources that we have are deployed most effectively to gain the greatest amount of control that we can. And I will tell you that the greatest resource that we have are the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security.
Right, but what I think I just heard you say was, right now, I heard about the previous administrations. You know, you already established, I guess, that there was not operational control. So right now, we do not have operational control of the border. Is it, can you tell me that right now to this committee?
Under the definition of the Secure
Right.
Fence Act,
Right.
we do not, and no administration has, because that means that not a single individual crosses the border.
Okay, so we established that we do not have operational control right now.
Under the definition of the Secure Fence Act.
All right, so let me ask you a couple other questions. Because I think there's certainly, I think, we're acquiring numbers right now that I think are changing the dynamic of where we're at. Are unlawful entries between the ports of entry down right now, do you believe? Or are they being measured differently than they had been prior to Title 42?
Prior to Title 42, the numbers are down, Congressman. And that is a function of the approach that we have taken to expand lawful pathways and then deliver consequences for individuals who do not avail themselves of those pathways.
So is that number only migrants stopped by Border Patrol agents? Is that the number that you're focused on? Or is it a number of individuals beyond those that even have contact with Border Patrol?
When we speak of, for example, the 2 weeks, let's just pick a period of time, the 2 weeks immediately preceding the end of Title 42 on May 12th. When we take those 2 weeks and we compare the numbers that we are experiencing now, we include not only the apprehensions in between the ports of entry, Congressman, but we also include individuals who are entering through the ports of entry using one of the critical lawful pathways that we include.
Found inadmissible at any ports of entry. Categorical parole, illegal aliens would also be part of that group. Is that not accurate? And then finally, gotaways. So there's three categories of individuals as well.
We don't, our parole authority, which is a discretionary authority codified in statute in the Immigration and Nationality Act, is a discretionary authority that we employ on a case-by-case basis. What we do is we define categories of individuals who can access that, but we make the parole decisions on a case-by-case basis.
And then, so the actual total, these are the numbers that have been presented. 294,000 or 9,500 roughly a day right now are coming across. So do you think at any point that number is being padded? I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe that's not the best term. But it's changed significantly than the way things were being counted prior to Title 42.
No, Congressman, we don't pad numbers. We provide numbers. We act in the Department of Homeland Security with integrity and honor.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Mr.